Sony XperiaZ review for water-resistant, HD voice, good video camera, stunning music, quality, against non-removable battery, software bugs, see best deals. Sony XperiaZ review. Has Sony finally got a smartphone right? By Phil Lavelle, May 17, 57 comments, page 1 of 14, introduction and design. Recommended award with a cutting-edge camera, a super slim design and the ability to withstand life's knocks and bumps, an Android Jelly Bean to boot. The XperiaZ is a phone that's got us fired up about Sony mobile again. Earlier handsets such as the Sony XperiaS and Sony xperiatm were extremely promising from a brand striking out on its own. But it's with the XperiaZ that Sony is really banking on making a cataclysmic dent in the makeup of the smartphone market. The Android Jelly Bean toting, albeit only 4.1 Sony XperiaZ comes with some of the best specs on the market, and it's one of the most eagerly awaited handsets of recent months. Launched before the HTC One, a Samsung Galaxy S4, Sony clearly hoped to steal an early march on its competitors. Buying guide, best Android phone, and it's got the power to match up. A quad-core 1.5 GHz Snapdragon crate processor, 13MP camera, 16 GB storage expandable, woo-oo, 2 GB RAM, water and dust resistant, 1080p HD screen with Bravia engine, LTE, to name a few. You couldn't make this stuff up. This is the company that had a part in this ratio. After all, as soon as we took our review unit out of the box, we were mesmerized. This feels and looks like a premium, high-quality product. Sony is one of the few manufacturers that can take what is, effectively, a plain black square and make it into something beautiful. Manufactured from piano black, high glass both front and back. It could have come from the same stable as the Google Nexus 4, though maybe we are overestimating it, viewing the Sony XperiaZ through geek-tinted goggles, because while we were blown away, others came out with the line that Sony will be hoping doesn't cross too many punters' lips. Looks like every other smartphone out there though, doesn't it? Best phone deals. Save up to 40% on your mobile phone contract. One thing the Sony XperiaZ certainly does have in common with every other smartphone out there is the fact that it is a pure magnet for fingerprints. You'll struggle to keep it clean all day long without either surgical gloves or a can of Mr. Sheen in your bag, as is fast becoming the norm. You can expect to pick the Sony XperiaZ up in white too. On top of that, O2 in the UK is exclusively offering a purple variant. If you're coming from something like a Samsung Galaxy S3, it'll feel similar, if a little larger, in terms of size. The Sony XperiaZ rocks in at 139 by 71 times 7.9 mm. 5.47 times 2.79 by 0.31 inches. So there's little room for anything else in your hands. Coming from something smaller like, say, an iPhone 5, you'll certainly notice the difference. But it's amazing how quickly you'll adapt at 146 grams, 5.15 ounces. It's by no means the lightest handset out there, but the Sony XperiaZ exudes a heftiness that belies a quality device. It's on a par with Apple's offering when it comes to the thickness. Buying guide, 20 best mobile phones in the world today. The ports are spread out with the headphone jack up top, the SIM slot and volume rocker on the right, either side of a silver standby button, while both the micro SAD and charging ports are on the left. alongside contacts for accessories. A watertight port covers each. The front of the Sony XperiaZ is minimalist, showing off only a Sony logo and front-facing camera. The rear is a little bitchier, with various tech info printed on it, plus the Sony Xperia logo, an NFC badge, camera light and the all-important lens. That back is stuck fast, as is becoming the custom. You'll have no luck if you want to remove the battery, turn it on, and you're not disappointed. Coming from the blackness, the 5-inch screen springs into life. Whether or not you'll like it is down to personal choice. Some who've used the Sony XperiaZ describe the screen as a disappointment because Sony has gone for TFT, albeit with 1080 by 1920 pixels, giving a pixel density of 441p, which would explain why it looks a bit washed out. If you've come from a Super AMOLED screen, you'll definitely feel the difference. We're still fans. This is a razor-sharp display from one of the world's premier screen manufacturers. Although it doesn't have the wow factor of the HTC One's Super LCD 3 screen, the only thing that lets it down is viewing angles. If you look at the Sony XperiaZ screen, dead on, it's sharp enough. If you look at it from the side, it has a strange ability to look incredibly washed out. It's no huge problem, but it does mean the impressiveness of the screen is diminished compared to the likes of the Samsung Galaxy S4 of the HTC One. Explained. 4G and LTE. Everything you need to know. One of the selling points of the Sony XperiaZ is that it is also water resistant. There's something slightly unnerving about taking a £529 phone and dropping it in the sink, but that's exactly what we did, and it worked absolutely fine. Clearly, you'll need to make sure the ports are covered using those watertight protectors. That much goes without saying, and here's some more good news. The price of the Sony XperiaZ is dropping quite quickly, already making it cheaper than the likes of the HTC One and in some worlds available for under the £30 contract mark for a half-decent whack of minutes, while it's actually the same price as the comparable SIM-free 16GB iPhone 5. The cost is now closing in on the iPhone 4S on PAYG. So we can't help but feel that XperiaZ is finding its natural pricing level. Thanks for watching. Subscribe this channel for future updates.